Welcome back
salute.
to NYC. Salute, man.
Journal Steward.
General
in
Steward
the
in the
mix.
building.
You know what I'm
IF
saying?
NYC. We just up here on the rooftop.
Yeah.
Chop it up and have a conversation about our new project and what we've been
Yeah.
putting together. Share it with the people and just kind of just build.
Right.
How's it feel being back in New York?
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rain, sleet, or snow, or humidity. It's always, you know, a good environment. At least for me and my creativity, I like this. You know, this is where I can get a lot of inspiration. So I never really been no beach like type dude or nothing like that. I like concrete.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah. So this is it feels good being back here.
Well, it's good to see you, man.
Thank you.
It's been, you know,
Likewise.
It's been a while since we caught up, man. General Stewart, my day one, you know, Michigan State. We built a lot of things together, man.
Yeah.
Creatively, personally, just, you know, a great human being here, a great creative
Oh man, I
person.
appreciate that.
And I'm so glad to have you back here, man. We're showing up tonight for the Wu-Tang concert. You know what it is. The final tour. You know, the final chamber.
Yeah, the final chamber, man, which is crazy, man. This is like our, I guess this would be like our Rolling Stones, you know? And I mean, I guess the impact that they had, you know, within, you know, their devoted fans. This is, you know, I feel like I feel about that. So, and to see it here in Madison Square Garden, I mean, it's only right. So that's going to be one for the books.
Yeah, man. Same. You know, I remember when the album first came out, 36 Chambers, when the group first came out of nowhere, you know, being in Chicago and listening to what they put together and then just how different it was.
Yeah.
How, you know, took us back to the days of Samurai Sundays and the Kung Fu flicks.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, the nostalgia of that from the whole group. There's a ODB, RIP, Method, Raekwon, you know, all of the members, Capadonna, I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody came through, man, and showed out. And I think, you know, for me, watching, you know, you have a group of cats, bro, that don't particularly really fuck with each other. You know what I mean? To come together and create something as iconic as that group, to create something that built a legacy far beyond what was capable of one individual in and of themselves.
Yeah.
But then to come out and RZA to give them that freedom to say, okay, yeah, we got our group, but you guys have autonomy to do your own thing.
Right.
Too. You had never seen anything.
Nah, you haven't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. You know, you had a enigma in not just hip hop, but just in the music industry, I believe. You know, where you just said, like, you had a group that was able to go on and seek their own solo deals and, you know, branch out without much, you know, like blowback from anybody pretty much. So beyond the music and just, you know, the logos and all of that, it's dope to see that they made it to be 40, 50, you know, years old and still have cohesion. You know, I mean, ups and downs come with everything and everybody, but I think that just speaks to a bigger part of like more of a human experience.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So.
And the relevance and relevancy, right? To still be that relevant in your space.
Right.
Because they created a space that was unique unto themselves.
Yeah.
You know, from a group perspective, I believe, as well as an individual perspective, at least from their prolific albums to their styles to everything that came along with that.
Right.
So as we, you know, reminisce on that and, you know, sit in the moment of today, the moment of experience we're going to be having tonight with, you know, seeing them here in New York, Madison Square Garden. Thing, man. You know, let's talk a little bit about Journal Steward, how that came along, and give the people a little idea of what inspired the name and what inspired what you do.
Well, you know, like when I was, you know, as a again, influenced by Wu-Tang, you create these alter egos when you do creative work, whether it's, music or, writing, in general, like, it's just cool to do that. And so I was in the mind frame of like, okay, what is something that represents me, but, got a little like, cachet to it.
Sure.
And I thought about, like the art of, or just the idea of the journal, what it represents. And it's just like, you're documenting, whatever it could be, history, personal history, or history going on around you, or just, ideas, thoughts. You're writing these things down, and they may not be for anybody else but yourself. So in my aspect, I started taking production seriously. I say definitely around like the pandemic. I've always been a musician, but I really locked myself in and learned how to, kind of the kernels of production, of music production. And that, I would say that was like 2020, is when I really locked in. So, again, that was my journal. That MPC, drum machine was my journal. And I was trying to translate feelings and thoughts that I had into the technology per se.
Gotcha.
And then the steward, is like, the person who's, you're like, kind of like a person, you're a man, or I guess woman of the people. You take out the information and you give it to the people, whatever that information may be. So, in my case, again, I try to, when I make productions or projects, I like the story behind them. I'll cook up something randomly too. Right. But when I'm putting my energy into a full project, that's my stewardship, is to give it to the people, whatever that is. The projects I had, Falconry, is about. Thank you. But Falconry was about like, fatherhood and like being a father, and passing on tradition. Spice Channel was about, having, going through, puberty, but kind of coming into your own as a young adult, and some of the influences. So like these are all things that, again, like I would more or less journal about through the MPC and give to the people as my, my experience or whatnot.
And simultaneously telling your own story.
Exactly.
Through that medium in the same vein.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's the essence of it right there. That's the name. And I mean, shit, man, that's how I got started. Again, I've been doing music like from some level since I was young, the band and all that. But yeah, I've always been like very technologically inclined, I guess, in the sense of like I'm fascinated by technology.
Yeah, same. I mean, we've shared that, I think, for quite some time. I think the newness for me and the revelation for me was how much music was a part of the creative aspect. When we worked together, we were bringing people together.
Right. Yeah.
To create something within a void that we saw in our environment.
Absolutely.
And we were creating a space for ourselves. But your creative intellect was always on display. You never would say much, but when you did, you stopped the room, right? Because, I think we've become good listeners.
Yeah, true.
And to really be able to provide any good feedback, you have to be able to listen and comprehend well and find out what those points are that people are trying to communicate to draw out those needs, right? So for me, it was really interesting when it all became to light for me during the pandemic, because we were both working on and launching our things at the same time, simultaneously. Yeah,
it's true.
Everyone had a chance to sit still.
Yeah, right.
And evaluate, okay, well, what is it that we're looking to do going forward now that we have, a moment to ourselves and really, really, gestate on these ideas of what the future looks like, right? So, that being said, I'm glad we were able to dig into that little bit of origin story, if you will. We
We all superheroes, man. You gotta look
Man.
at it like that.
You heard?
You know, we all got an origin story.
And
man.
they all don't wear capes, right?
Nah, not at all.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So
Nah, man. But I mean, to that point gets us to this point. I mean, like you said, we've collaborated, you know, I guess officially and unofficially for a few times now.
Yeah.
Like you've helped me out with projects I've had and vice versa.
yeah.
So, I mean, and here we are.
So let's get into it. Speaking of which, so we have the obviously the final swarm drop that Imagine IF NYC has done just in homage to the final tour of Wu-Tang. I wanted to create an original piece of art, put my spin on it. And it was just something about the beehive, the bees, and the swarming around it with a photorealistic kind of aspect that I felt took it up a notch.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had to throw the cream oxy in there and creating something that, you know, was a bit of a nostalgic homage and personal appreciation for the group, its members, the idea of it in and of itself. And I mean, you know, there's tons of different music groups, artists, and stuff that, you know, with me with fashion, music inspires that as well.
Right. I can see that. Right.
You know, it's not one in and of the other. And everyone obviously knows that, you know, in the fashion industry, music entertainment, all of those things they're tied together. They're not independent of each other.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Our collaboration here, where I was like, hey, DJ, I got this idea. I want to put this T-shirt together. This idea of sharing these images back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
You know, getting your take on it, getting your feedback on it, because I don't like to work in a bubble, and there's only few and far in between trusted people that I will put my work in front of and say, hey, look, what do you think about this?
Right.
And draw that input. And
I
you
feel
know,
honored.
you are one of those people, right? So to have us be back at this point, and then, you know, when we talked about it, and then the conversation spins into what music we tied into,
Yeah.
and then you said from there, you were like, hey, I got a track that we put together a track for it on top of it. So you saw it, you went and then you dug in the crates, and then tell me about the process behind creating what you created for us.
Dude, I mean, you know, it's Wu. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
It don't take much. If people know me, they know, like, I'm Wu through and through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it didn't take from you bouncing the ideas, and when we were sharing those earlier images, you know, I already, you know, had it was an alley-oop just to create that soundscape. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying, you in New York, you know, obviously Wu-Tang is Staten Island, it's in the tertiary area, so it's like, okay, and then with the tour going on, you know, it's the final chamber and all that, so it's like, man, like, I just thought about the grittiness. Like, what was that first? The first Wu-Tang song I heard was A Mystery of Chess Boxing. I had a single. It was like the B-side of like Cream or something like that. And I've always thought, like, even to this day, like when I watch that video, because I watch these videos like probably once a month. I'll just go back and start watching old, you know, Wu-Tang and others.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was, you know, I just always remember, like, man, like, this is just like straight up like analog. Like, it's just, it ain't no bells and whistles, man. They figured it out, and it's dope and it's working. So that's how I wanted to take it with. So, you know, I started messing around with, you know, like RZA, you know, again, like RZA is a icon. So I wasn't trying to like copy the RZA per se, but I wanted to make it in the vein of like, okay, like what was he doing at you know, in 90, 93, 94 digging, you know, what records and stuff. And of course, you know, he's digging like a lot of soul, you know what I'm saying, chopping it up with, you know, dirty drums. He's using I think he's on the is it the ASR 10? I think he was ASR 10 or no, SP 1200 first, and he was on the ASR if I'm not mistaken, or the EPS. It might be the EPS, but or both. But anyway, So I'm thinking of the dirt, the dust, and I'm finding these samples. I'm searching, and I'm like, I found like the it's like a Japanese folk song, and I took a couple like vocal stabs for that. So that's you got the lady yelling, and then just the drums. I made the drums as dirty as just any way I could. Now I don't have a whole lot of analog equipment, meaning I don't have like physical compressors and things that I could use to dirty it up that way. So I had to use some ingenuity, to use some of the digital stuff, and it came out respectful in my mind. So, but again, as I'm thinking of like what you putting out, where you at, and what's going on, I just try to really like encompass that. I think one of the earlier visuals you sent me was just the joint with the cityscape and the cream and the bees, the sound of the bees. So of course I wanted to incorporate that, and I found like a news report of like some guy, like they disturbed a big beehive or something, and it was wreaking havoc on this whole neighborhood. So I put that news report in there, and that's kind of the change up, the darkness.
Yeah, the grittier part of it.
Yeah. And that's one thing I like. RZA's like real good. Like he'll have like a song that's like the original song is like in a higher, like almost like a brighter like scale, or whatnot. But he can bring that down and make it so dark and dirty. So I try to do that too, with the change up toward the the end of the track.
Yeah.
So just, man, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. Like really just like trying to invoke all those influences and really, put it in that pot and turn it up and see, shoot it to you. Let me know, what you think. And, you said it fits. So I was like, okay.
It fits so well, man, because, when I looked at it, all black everything on the tees, on the hoodie, on everything we had. We kept it very tight. We didn't need. And sometimes less is more.
Right.
Didn't need to do a lot to it, but doing enough to where look, it's something that you look at it, and I've always been very, very visually mysterious with certain things. So you see it and you recognize it, but not until you get up on close do you recognize that there's other nuances to detail.
Right.
And that part of that, when I was working on it, and I was sending you the drafts, and I'm like, yo, what do you think of this draft, this draft? And some of the points you were like, oh, tweak this, try that. Creating that bit more of a grit in the image in and of itself, to where it looks rough, it looks a little gritty, but it's still got that dimension to it.
Right.
It created a nice synergy. How you lace the track, the different levels to that, the dimensions in the music and the production as you put it together. And I think we're gonna really, really, show some people some really impressive stuff once we put it all together. The imagery, the visuals, being able to bring something together with such ease and such a synergy. Once we get all of the last bit of footage and B-roll and everything, we stir it in the pot, sauce it up. You know what I'm saying? We got the blunt end of the sword and we got the sharp end of the sword to hit them with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy, man. I like, man. This is the funnest part of like, to me, of a project, man. It's just like you got everything together. Now you just letting everything, you putting everything in its place. That's for me, I guess it go either way, but from a music production standpoint, I actually enjoy mixing. Like, I enjoy that part. Some people, don't like it because it can be tedious. You're sitting there, you might be listening to the same little like 2-bar phrase for 5-6 minutes, but you're looking for something, and that stuff is fun to me because you just really get to go and like really needle into certain like details. You know what I'm saying? So the put together is always the funnest part for me, man. So I'm excited about that.
As I've been stepping into video editing and creating different things, man, just mashing up those images together to tell that story.
Yeah.
Because what is it all if it doesn't say something?
Right, exactly.
You know, I mean, we're inundated with so much information these days. So much stuff is thrown at us, man. So at least, you know, give the people something that's gonna be fun, something that's gonna be captivating, something that's gonna be dope, just a dope experience, just to see, you know, when there's so much out there, right?
Right.
And there is a common, you know, thread through it all, which is the creativity, the realization of one's vision, and the execution of that all together, simultaneously. And, you know, a living, breathing example of doing that. I figured we share, you know, our conversation with you guys. You know, this is us catching up and coming back together like we never missed a beat, and just kind of really just talking through our own process. You know, we don't get the chance to really share that in a lot of cases.
Nah, because a lot of times, you know, you get, you know, I mean, I feel like you could like agree with this. Sometimes you just lock in, man.
Facts.
It's not that we being selfish with it, because we put the product gets out,
Right.
But that process sometimes can be a personal thing for some people.
It's funny you say that, because this was kind of a personal project for me initially.
Yeah.
Because it had been in my head for so long. But when it's done, you know it.
You know, bro.
Because it hits you. And not rushing our process.
Right. And again, it's funny because it comes down to too, like, we do have a business. So we have to be, you know, you gotta have some kind of parameters, man.
Yeah.
Or you just gonna have a whole bunch of dope stuff in your personal collection.
It just sits there. Yeah. It does. I did it in the video, man. I was messing around with it. I was like, you know what? That's good enough.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah.
Back in the day, bro, you was like, man, that KT, bro, he's not putting it out if it ain't right.
Right.
I think for me in the beginning, you have one shot to get it right a lot of times. So we keep creating, we trust the process.
Yeah, you got to, man. You know, the funny thing with all of this is something I've been doing my whole life in some form of fashion. Nice. Like, it may not have been music per se, but if it wasn't that, it was trying to figure out something, you know, fashion. It's just always going to be with, you know, some of us and that, you know, people of you know, artistic background. Regardless, man, or whom or what.
Get it out there. And that frees up that creative space for all these other ideas, you know. And Summer 2025, wrapping up with Wu-Tang's final tour in New York City, back with General Steward over here. Just put his whole foot in that joint, man.
I appreciate it, man. I try.
And
you provided the inspiration, though, man. Again,
thank you.
The layups, the alley-oops, the layups, everything, man. It's a bucket.
Nice. 3-point swish, man.
Right. Well, yeah. You know always, bro. So man, we got another one.
Yes, sir. All day, every day. We got a really, really dope rollout for you guys. The video is gonna be fucking crazy. The production is fucking amazing. Imagine if NYC, General Steward. Peace, y'all. To the next one.
Peace.
There's word that your chamber is coming to a close. Is this true?
Well, yes. I'm afraid so. I learned there's a sound.